Hi everyone, I'm going to talk to you now about area and perimeter of composite shapes. So what a composite shape is it's one that has more than one of the regular shapes that you know about already in it. So it's composed of more than one polygon that you know about. So like a traditional little house shape, that's a composite shape because it's made of a rectangle or a square and a triangle on top. An ice cream cone shape is made with a triangle and a half circle on top. Or the 3D version could be made with a cone on the bottom and half of a sphere on the top. Things like that. So if it's composed of more than one piece or more than one shape, it's a composite shape. So here are a few examples of composite shapes. So you have to keep in mind the formulas for what I already gave you for area and perimeter, so the ones that look like this. And then you have to think about what shapes you have and how to put those pieces together. So this first one looks like two rectangles put together, or a square and a rectangle put together. So what I can do is break this into two pieces, and then I can see this piece over here is a square because all the sides are 6 yards. And whoops, this piece over here is a rectangle. So if we need let's start with area of this shape, we would have to add up the area of the square with the area of the rectangle. So I'm going to call this area 1, and I'm going to call this one area 2. So I need area 1 plus area 2. So I'm going to start with area 1, and it's a square. So the area is length times width, and the length and width are both 6. So it has an area of 36 square yards. And then area 2 is a rectangle, so the area is length times width. And the length is over here from top to bottom. Now, this little tick mark and this little tick mark means both of these are the same. So if this part from the bottom to the middle is 6 yards, and then from here to the top is 6 yards, then the whole side is 12 yards. And then the width is from here to here, so that is also 6 yards. And then 6 times 12 will give us the area, and that is 72 square yards. So then the total, you would add up 36 plus 72, and then you would get the total is 108 square yards. You don't have to do the pieces separately. If you want to do this piece and this piece together, you're welcome to do that. So you would just put the pieces together into one equation rather than having them separately, and that's okay. I'm just going to erase some of these lines because now I'm going to talk about perimeter. So the perimeter means we just add up all the outside pieces. So this piece, 1, 2 sides, 3 sides, 4 sides, 5 sides, and 6 sides. So I'm going to add up 12 on the bottom, and 12 we already calculated over here. And then 6 on the top. And then in my erasing, I erase those little black lines, but this is also 6, and this is also 6. So I actually have 4 sides that are 6. So now I'm going to double check. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers. So that's good. And then you just add them all up. And 12 plus 12 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 will be 48. Yep, 48 yards. So that's the perimeter. So the perimeter is actually much easier than the area. I'm going to erase all of these little scribbles for later and put these lines back on. Now I'm just going to duplicate this so that we can do the other one on another slide, so it doesn't get too cramped on here. So this piece I'm going to delete, and then here. So this shape is another composite shape composed of different pieces that look like a bunch of rectangles. So I'm really going to focus on the area for this one, at least first. So I'm going to break it. Let's see. There's multiple ways. We could break it here and get a big rectangle or square on the right and then two small ones on the left. Another option would be to break it this way and get three long rectangles. I think I will go with that first option. So the entire height from here all the way down is 8 centimeters, and this piece of it is 4 centimeters. So what that leaves is this piece and this piece that together make another 4 centimeters. So here is 4 centimeters. Now they look fairly even, but we don't really know for sure. But we know that the pieces together, if we put both of those together here, then the whole thing is 4 centimeters. And we also know that the width of it from here to here is 4 centimeters because of this number here. So really, this piece and this piece make this piece, and it's a 4 centimeter by 4 centimeter square when we put the two together. So I'm going to call this and this together area 1, and then this will be area 2. So to get the total area, we need area 1 plus area 2. And I'm going to do both of them together this time to show you how that can work instead of doing them separately, but you're welcome to do them separately. So the first area is length times width. It's a square. And then the other one is a rectangle or square. So it's also going to be length times width. And then I'm going to put little 1s here and little 2s here to show that it's length 1 and width 1, length 2 and width 2 for piece 1 and piece 2. Keep in mind that these are not exponents like this, and they're not big numbers like this, because that would mean you're multiplying the width or length by itself, and we're not doing that. And this would mean you're multiplying by 2, and we're not doing that. So these are little numbers called subscripts that are written at the bottom to show that it's just telling us a difference between two different lengths and two different widths. So the first area that I shaded in blue, we have a width of 4 and a length of 4, so they both go in there. And then the other part, we know, let's call the up and down part the width. We know that it's 8 right here. And now we have to think about what this width, this length is this way. Well, we know the whole big piece from here all the way to here is 12, and we know that this little piece of it is 4. So that means if we have 12 and we take away 4, what we're left with here is 8 centimeters. So the length here is 8. So really we have two pieces over here that got added together to make a square, and then we have a big piece here that's also a square. So we're adding up the areas of two squares. So 4 times 4 is 16, 8 times 8 is 64, and 16 plus 64 is 80 centimeters squared. Now, for the perimeter of this, I'll use red so it's easier to see. We have this side that's 8 centimeters. And then on the opposite side, all three of these pieces together have to be 8 centimeters because it's as tall as the side on the right. So there's that side and those three together that make 8. And then we have this length here, which is the same as the one on the bottom. So plus 12 plus 12. There's two of those. And then we have this one and this one that are both 4. So with all of those pieces put together, I'm going to have the total perimeter of this shape. And then we add them all up, 8 plus 8 plus 12 plus 12 plus 4 plus 4, and we get 48 centimeters. So there's the perimeter, and there's the area. Here's a little house shape, and it looks like it's composed of a rectangle down here at the bottom, and then a triangle here at the top. So we need to add the area of these two things together. So I'm going to start with the rectangle, and I'm going to call this area 1. So I'm going to say area 1 will be length times width, and the length is 10, and the width is 4. So the area is 40 meters squared. Now I need area 2, which is going to be this triangle at the top. So I need the base of the triangle times the height, and then I need to divide it by 2. So the base is the same as the length of the rectangle because it goes from the right side of the picture to the left side all the way across here. So I know that the base is 10. I need to find the height, and I need to divide by 2. Now the height we don't actually know yet. So what we're going to have to think about is we're going to split this triangle into pieces like this, because here I see a right triangle, and we have a 6 meters here. We have the height that we don't know yet for this triangle, and then we have the bottom of this triangle, which is half of this bottom length here, because it says there's these little lines that mean that these are the same. So if the whole house is 10 meters wide, then half of it is 5 meters wide, not centimeters, 5 meters wide. So I have a right triangle, which means I can use Pythagorean theorem to solve this to get the height. Now remember, c squared is always the hypotenuse across from that right angle. So the 6 goes where c is, and then a and b don't matter. So I'm just going to put h in for a and 5 in for b. And then I'm going to start simplifying and solving. 5 times 5 is 25. 6 times 6 is 36. Now I'm adding that 25 to h squared. So I'm going to subtract it so that I can bring it over to the other side. And if I do that on the left side, I have to do that on the right side. So I'm left with h squared on the left side, and 36 minus 25 on the right side will give me 11. So h squared is 11, but then I still need to get h by itself. So to undo that square, I have to square root, which means that h is the square root of 11. And that's going to be approximately 3.3, and then it goes 166, and then some other numbers. So I'm going to round this to around 3.32. So I'm keeping a little bit of extra decimal places so that my other answer will be correct. And the reason I had to go to a 2 here was because there's a 6 after that 1, which means the 1 has to round up. So now that I know the height of the triangle, the height of the little piece of the triangle, the small one that's half the roof, is the same height as the whole roof. So now that we have the height, we can put it over here, 3.32. And then we can finish this calculation. So 10 times 3.32 gives me 33.2. And then if I divide that by 2, my final answer will be 16.6, not centimeters again, meters squared. And then now I have the rectangle area, and now I have the area of the triangle. So now I have to put them together. So